All right, well, it's been a few months. It's time to check in on Robo Blitz, and we said we'd check in, as each quarter went along. The night we made the video, they basically were listing to, where was that? They were listing to Hotbit, and they had been burning, tokens as you bought WARBOTZ along the way in the beta, and things are going good. It was looking nice. I had mentioned that I was a little curious about the way something had looked on Medium article, and I was curious about this, and I said I was hoping that it was part of the game and development and not just a mock-up. And the more I looked at it, I thought maybe it's a mock-up, maybe it's not. There were some people that already had NFTs, like that part was done, it was legit, that part showed up, and the tokens were being used to finance through, and then the game developer was paying the actual, or the project developer was paying the game developers, and the game developers were using a set of, tools that I thought was professional. It looked good. And the very next day when they got listed, unfortunately, they took the tokens that they had left that hadn't already been burned, and they sold them all. And that made everybody right away say, scam, exit scam. And it's just right. I mean, he could have sold them and been paying the game developer, maybe that's what he needed to do, but it did seem very shady. And as that went along, people started making death threats and stuff to the people that were running the project, so they locked the Telegram. That further seemed shady, but he had made a post about 3-4 days later after everybody was, upset and saying there was a scam, there was a problem, and said, hey man, I'm still going to be on track. I'm going to release what I said I'm going to release. And Q3 should have been Q2, Q3 should have been that release. They should have had that next portion. He was talking about June in the Medium article and July and so forth through the end of the year. They were going to keep releasing more stuff. Well, I didn't make any follow-up video because it did look very scammy, and I kind of agreed with everyone. They locked it out. But I thought on the off note, possibly maybe he sold, because he sold pretty high when it listed. I thought, well, maybe he just took the funds and he paid the guys. Maybe we'll see something. Maybe he really did just lock up the forum because people were talking about killing him. And I gave it, 90 days, more or less now. I waited till the Q2, Q3 stuff was missed. I wanted to see what happened. I figured the website would come down. Well, the website is still active to this day, and you can still buy the NFTs. What is missing is the actual game part, the part that actually mattered to everybody. NFTs were hot. Maybe he just capitalized on it. Maybe he did exit scam. Maybe he got into it and found out he didn't have to pay the devs or whatever and just cashed out and didn't tell nobody. Who cares what he did for why? But the entirety of the project was not delivered on. And a lot of people bought the NFTs with the idea of actually doing combat. No one really wanted to pay $400 for an NFT. They were really cool, and they were worth, $400, $1,000 if you were going to be able to get, the stuff in the roadmap, which was, upgrades and actual battle bots in the arena. Like, that part was cool. Like, people wanted that part. That was why it made it worth it to pay that for, a limited edition of NFT bots that were actually going to do something interactively down the road. Unfortunately, none of that's ever happened. He didn't make good on his promises of in Q2, Q3, Q4. Well, Q4's not here yet, but we're getting close, of continuing the roadmap. I find it odd and awkward that they did so and left the website up, which, maybe they just left it up and walked away. But they walked away from their Twitter too. The very last post is their Hotbit post. And it's not like they had nothing going on prior to that. Like, if this was a rug pull and scam, dude, that was pretty elaborate. Like, they went to all the trouble to create tons of posts and, build it a little bit at a time. Like, it had a good clip. Like, it had potential. And this is why most people don't like DeFi and all this new stuff on here and all the NFTs, and it's really hurting the space. No games are really coming out because this is what keeps happening. Either there's too much gas fees on Ethereum, and then people can't complete because then people on our end can't pay $50, $100 to transfer like a $10 card, and then 5-10 upgrades. You're not going to pay, $1,000 in gas to get, a $10 battle bot when you need, a few of them too to actually play the game and have fun. So they had made the right choices going on BSC, and they found a side chain, and I can understand them holding off if the gas fees were high, like a lot of projects have, because that was the limiting factor. They didn't do that. They found something else to do it with. They had everything going right for them. Like, they really crafted, a solid brand and image, and they sold at the top and took the money, and instead of just finishing the game and completing, which would have given them a great platform to continue to do so in the future and develop other games, They just walked away. That is super unfortunate. And they didn't really walk away with all that much money in relation to what they could have had. They didn't post anything else here on their Twitter, and they do have 2,600 followers. There was about 3,000 people in the room when he locked it down, and it started dropping off because it's locked down. Nobody can post, and he's made no updates. You know, he didn't make good on all the crafting of brand that he had promised, or even, I don't know, didn't even follow through with being the same kind of person that he was up to the point of it being dipped. And again, I totally understand people trying to kill him and all that. And, you know, had he just followed through with Q3, Q4, he could have easily unlocked everything and said, okay, see guys, you were wrong. There was no exit scam. I just sold, you know, the development account for development. He didn't do that. He walked away. And who knows for what reason? Maybe he's dead in the real world. Maybe he just had a change of heart. You know, maybe he thought that the couple $100,000 he made was good enough and has no foresight to, you know, sell upgrades like they had talked about in the Medium article, because that would have been a ton more money for him as well. He could have released season 2. To me, I cannot see any reason for cashing out so low, unless they're just all mock-ups and there was no, you know, maybe the game devs sucked, but with the amount of money that he made, he should have the money to complete the project. Would have put him back to broke. He would have paid tons for the coding, but he would have owned that brand, and that brand would have carried him forward, you know, indefinitely. So every once in a while, I do wonder if maybe like Q4, he'll just all of a sudden drop something, you know, and say, ha, here, it's done. It was just late. I highly doubt he will. It does look super scammy in the end, but he went to a lot of trouble to scam $200,000 out of people. Like, there's easier ways to do it than that if that's what you're going to do in DeFi. I mean, it's been done tons of times with plenty of contracts with less investment in time than this. So unfortunately, that'll probably hurt other brands too that are going to try to actually build a real thing and, you know, roll out a little bit at a time and get people interested and, you know, hopeful to support a project when this is what keeps happening. You know, projects dying because of gas or not being completed because of just exit scamming. And that's really unfortunate. I feel like the use cases on Ethereum are really good. And the only people that really seem to be attracted to, you know, using a smart contract are shitty people. That's really unfortunate. And obviously there's some good uses of smart contracts, like when, you know, BNB got its launch, you know, and became Binance, or like TRX. I don't really like either one of those groups, but, you know, Justin Sun never scammed anyone. His projects just aren't worth a whole lot. And obviously, you know, CZ did what he did, and now he's his own thing. Like, he made good. He used a smart contract on the Ethereum network. The way it was used was proper. It was a good use case. He raised money and he put the money to use and he produced. Anyone that does that, like, there's a lot out there. And there's some good projects that are dApps that are making it. But as far as games go, like, nothing's come through really yet that I feel is the proper use and fully utilizing what's being offered and has really given people value for the trust and time that they took to actually support someone, you know, like in the rooms and talk to other people and be around and be interactive in the community. You know, like, building that base and that brand is tough. It really sucks that people are going to abuse the brand building portion, because it's going to be harder for other people, legit products on the road, to actually build a brand. So hopefully maybe like Q4, you never know, the guy might just pop up and surprise everyone. I mean, you know, the percentage of that is probably like 0.5%. I doubt that it ever happens. But with everything they put into it and with everything they're going to lose versus just paying for and finishing the project and everything they could gain, that's so short-sighted. Like, it's hard for me to believe there's anyone that stupid out there. But that's just the bottom case. He's really that fucking stupid.